good morning, everybody who's tuning in to the Wire to Wire Sports Podcast this morning. I'm your host today, Carl Mike, and I'm joined with my man to the right, Big Mo. How you doing today, Mo?
Hey, good morning, Carmike. Good morning, Gene, the NFL genius, and everybody that's joining us.
And to my left this morning, the man, the NFL genius. He also want to be a March Madness genius. Gene, how you doing, good brother? How was your weekend?
So I just before we start, can we just give a shout out to Key for that fire intro? I'm
It was
loving the new
fire. I
intro.
like it.
It's a
I like
great
it.
intro.
Loving it, loving it.
It was-
Let's give a shout out to Key for that. But yeah, March Madness was great. We do the Thursday, Friday thing where we spend all day, 12 hours. We have 4 TVs set up in one room, so it's why we don't miss any bit of action. However, I will say this. I don't want to say it was disappointing, but Sunday was the only really good day of basketball games.
Mm. So, before we get into all that, ladies and gentlemen, I want to show some respect, rest in paradise, to the legend, Mr. Big George Foreman passed away. A man in his career 76 and 5 with 68 knockouts. And he died on March 21st at 76 years old. Mo, you have any words for our legend?
I think George Foreman had a really interesting career arc. Olympic champion, dominated the heavyweight division, obviously, until he was upset by the great Muhammad Ali. Walks away after losing to Jimmy Young and returns, I believe, around age 38, 39, saying, I'm going to win the heavyweight championship again. And at age 42, he clocks and knocks out Michael Moore to become the heavyweight champion another time. I think that's amazing. It's an amazing accomplishment. And the thing about George Foreman is he reinvented himself. How many people use that grill that he came up with? I think that he's more known for that probably for a lot of people than he is for his boxing ability. So I think that George Foreman was a great boxer, but he became an even better Renaissance man. So salute, rest in power, George Foreman.
Mr. Gene, you got any words for our legend who passed, man?
Yeah, I mean, watch the movie. Watch the Big George Foreman movie.
I've
If
seen
you
it.
if you didn't watch him, honestly, the end of his career was like the beginning of me watching boxing, and I still enjoyed it. I still enjoy George Foreman, but really researching him and watching the movie about him and understanding what he came from and who he was, and I don't know. I've always been a George Foreman fan. I think he's very underrated as a heavyweight boxer, and I've said that because you guys know my biggest hot take is Mike Tyson's the most overrated boxer of all time. But I think George Foreman might be one of the most underrated boxers of all time. And yeah, so I just want to when I think a lot of people don't realize when he first fought Ali, how big of a favorite he was. They thought he was going to run through Ali. Yeah, rope-a-dope was a thing because Muhammad Ali needed a strategy to be able to deal with the power and speed of what George Foreman was.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Much respect, George Foreman. We'll catch you in the next one, brother. Man. Let's move on. March. March is here. And it's full throttle. I've been watching all these games, man. Let's start out with the Arkansas team, man. Arkansas's showing up. Mo, you should know, man. DeJuan Wagner's son played for Arkansas, man. And,
Yeah.
they had back-to-back upsets. Got Kansas up out of there, and St. John, man, they benched R.J. Lewis. What you think about that? What you think about R.J. Lewis getting benched in the final minutes of the game, Mo?
You know what? You got to trust in your coach, right? So I'm going to trust in Coach Cal.
That was a good idea.
You know what I'm saying? They won. They won. I think it was a humbling moment for the young man, but I think Coach Cal knows what he's doing. He's a winning coach. He's done this before. He's not new to this. This Arkansas team mirrors a lot of Cal's teams, except they don't have the raw talent, but they have the athleticism, and they make you play at their pace. They're the cardiac kids that nobody wants to see. They're an exciting team, and I'm low key rooting for Coach Cal. I was rooting for him much more than I would root for Rick Pitino. So I'm excited to watch what Arkansas could do going forward.
So I think what Carmike was referring to was St. John's. Rick Pitino benched their best player, Luis, down the stretch.
My bad.
No, you're fine. And I think that was one of the worst decisions that you could ever see from Pitino make. And Pitino being such a legend at the college level, I think that he man, I compare him a lot to like Coach Shanahan, like where he has to be the star of the show. Like you have your best player. Granted, he was not having a good game. He was 3 for 15. I
17,
understand that.
17.
He's been your best player all year. And for the last 5 minutes, you went down without your sword. You went down without your best player. And St. John's fans will forever question that Rick Pitino benched. I just can't understand that thought process. Like, I could just think of Phil Jackson being like, yeah, Kobe's having an off score night. We're not going to play Kobe these last 5 minutes. We're gonna in the playoffs in like game 7. We're just gonna roll with someone else and see how that works out for us.
It's not like we ain't never seen nothing like that before. Remember James Harden? He got benched, but the bench carried him to a couple of playoff wins in that one.
I mean, I guess, but like RJ Lewis is obviously has been their best player all year. Like he's averaged 18 points a game. He's the Big East player of the year. And he sat on the bench for the last 5 minutes of the game while his team lost by 9 points. And it wasn't like I could say the team lost by 9 points. They didn't lose by 9 points because they lost by 9 points because they went out on their saddle. That game was closer than 9 points. Like there was opportunities for him to affect the game. And they didn't allow him to do it. They didn't allow it to happen. I think it was 68-64 with 2 minutes and 51 seconds left at a timeout. They could have brought him back in the game right there. It was a 4-point game. It was 68-64. Yeah, I just looked up. 68-64. And it was 68-64. And St. John's had the ball coming out of the timeout. So I can't. It just doesn't feel right to me. It was 66-64 with 3 minutes left. Like, it's wild to me that they benched their best player.
I would love to know what the interaction was between Pitino and that young man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would love to have been in on that conversation because I'm sure it was a fiery conversation.
Does
RJ Lewis this morning? That's what you're going to hear.
That's what you. Oh, you don't think he's going to stay?
No, he's not staying. He's a junior. He's got a senior year. His coach just benched. He's the Big East player of the year. Like, he just benched him in the last 5 minutes of the game. You think he's staying? Oh, my God. I will bet whatever you want. He's not staying there. Nope. No chance.
By the way, there was a record 44. It was like 44 fouls in that game, man. They was letting the kids play it all in that game, man. It was very physical. But, let's go to BYU. BYU takes down Wisconsin, man. Gene, what you think about BYU so far in this tournament?
It's funny because I said when we were breaking out, I had BYU losing to VCU. And obviously I was wrong there, right? But like I said with the beginning of this tournament, it's going to be whether you want offense or you want defense. BYU is offense, right? If they're shooting well, they can play with anyone. BYU is a very good basketball team. But, like, this is what ends up happening, right? And nothing against BYU, but they're going to go home. And they're going to reset. And you have Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday without games. And then they're going to come back and play Thursday. And you're going to see whether that BYU team can continue hot shooting. They have to continue shooting well. Richie Saunders did not shoot the ball well from 3, but he gave them life when they needed it. And I think that BYU team is really interesting because when you watch them beat Wisconsin, that was one of the best games you will watch is Wisconsin versus BYU. Richie Saunders started hitting threes at the end of that game versus VCU. He wasn't shooting well. That's the guy you got to look at for BYU. If he's continuously hitting shots, they can continue on in this tournament.
Mo, what you think about BYU, man?
I think they're fun to watch because they use elements of the Princeton offense. So everybody's a screener, everybody's a shooter. It's body movement along with ball movement, And if they're shooting well, like Gene said, they're hard to beat. And I don't even think they had their best shooting game. If they're shooting well as a group, they're going to be tough to beat. You're going to have to be able to beat them with defense, and you're going to have the athleticism to kind of shut them down and disrupt that offense, because everybody on that team sets screens for the other player. Like, everybody's a live option, and that means that everybody on your defense has to play on a string.
And real quick, before you go forward, the one thing I look at is who they play in the next round. They play a team that does not play defense. I know, as much as I love Alabama, that Mark Sears Alabama team versus BYU, if those teams are shooting well, you could get a game in the hundreds in regular. I know that sounds nuts, but these two teams play basketball offense only. All gas, no breaks. That's what they play. And getting that matchup of BYU, like I'm going to see what the over-under is for that game. Listen, this is wild for an NCAA basketball game. The over-unders normally stem between 130 and 154. Anyone want to guess what the over-under that basketball game is?
160.
Yeah, that's a good guess. 175.
Wow.
Like, if you watch one basketball game, if you like offense, if you watch one basketball game next round, watch BYU versus Alabama and just hope that they're shooting to their potential, because that game could get nuts quick.
You know what? I want your thoughts on BYU. Ran 47 seconds off the clock in the last possession of the game, man. And John Thomas went down with 13 seconds. And instead of looking for a quality shot, he was foul hunting to get to the line for that. What you think about the last seconds of that game?
Look, I think,
was it bad coaching?
No, I think that what you look at in the NCAA tournament is how coaching affects the team. So, like, you're talking about the Wisconsin game, right? The BYU Wisconsin game.
BYU ran 47 off the clock.
So BYU was 100% trying to hold for possessions. They were trying to win the basketball game. Give them all the credit in the world. You look at how that game ended down the stretch, right? They were constantly and look, even with that, they only went up 2. They went up 2 points. Well, they were up 2. They basically turned the ball over, and Johnny Tajay had an opportunity to tie that game at the buzzer. So I had no issue with it. I thought BYU was doing their best to hold on. They led the whole game. They were winning the whole basketball game. They did everything they could to hold on. They felt momentum leaving, so they tried to slow the game down. And they put Wisconsin in an opportunity where they needed to hit a shot to win the game. So no issue with it. They had to feel momentum drifting away.
Mo, you got any thoughts about the final seconds of that game, man? Do you think it was bad coaching?
No, it's not bad coaching. They've got momentum on their side, but BYU did what they had to do. Things were not going their way, so they started milking the clock. We call it playing not to lose, but I still thought that was smart coaching. What they said is, you're gonna have to make a great shot to beat us, and it didn't happen. So I have no problem with it. It's a strategy. It worked. They're advancing for a reason.
All right, so we got a lot of the number ones taking care of business in the first round. Duke looks absolutely dominant, or are they playing just bad teams? Mo, talk to me.
I think they're absolutely dominant. I think a lot of times we talk about Duke, and all you talk about is what they can do offensively. If you're watching those games, they get into you defensively. Everybody on the floor is playing at an elite level defensively. We talk a lot about what Cooper Flagg can do and the highlights that you see. Nobody talks enough about Cooper Flagg, the defender. He's an elite defender as an individual defender as well as a team. He's terrific as a weak side defender. I think Duke if they're going to win, if they're going to go where we think they're going to go as far as being in the Final Four, it'll be on the heels of their defense. They're just dominant defensively. I don't think they're playing bad teams. I think they're making good teams look bad.
I mean, you said it, right? Like they went against a very well-coached Baylor Scott Drew team. VJ Edgecombe is a lottery pick, top 5 pick in the NBA draft. And they look every bit ready for a fight to start that game. I think it was 26-25 Baylor. And then Duke absolutely turned it on. Let me just tell you something right now. If Tyrese Proctor plays at the level that he played at in that game, they are not losing in this tournament because Cooper Flag giving you he still hasn't given you an A game. He gave you a B game. He played good defense. He rebounded. He passed. He made the right decisions. Awesome job, Cooper. He still hasn't given you I'm taking over game. If you're getting Cooper Flag and Tyrese Proctor, and and they have one of the best 3-point shooters in the nation. They have a guy, Kneepel. I say the name wrong all the time. Kneepel. He's an absolute sniper. So if you're putting all your attention on Proctor and Flag, you got Kneipel to look out for. And I know I'm saying that name wrong. Y'all can laugh at me later. But
I chop it up too.
Duke is a great basketball team. There's a reason I picked that team to win the NCAA tournament. By the way, I do want to say this, Carmike. I don't want to. I'm sorry. I've watched so much college basketball that I'm like fired up. I don't know if this is on your topic list, but we got to talk about the death of the mid-major. Is that on your topic list? Can I give you a minute of the death of the mid-major?
Please.
It's over. It's over.
The NIL has killed the mid-major.
Yes, sir.
And what happens is you look at these teams like McNeese, right? Or you look at some of these teams that get in this tournament like Grand Canyon and Liberty.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys are getting sniped by NIL. And then like a team like Purdue or Oregon or Arizona is going to pay them 5 times what they're getting paid at McNeese. Hey, come play with us. So they don't have that length of how long these mid-major teams, you got one shot at it. That's it. Or they can find guys on other teams' benches that like former 4 or 5-star guys and be like, hey, listen, you're not getting playing time. Come showcase yourself over here at McNeese for 1 year and then go right back to that mid-major. It's essentially the G League. And it's fun to watch. I miss old March Madness. And I feel like that this is like the first year in the last 10, 15 years that not a 13, 14, 15, or 16 seed won a game. They were 0 for 16.
I mean, trash is trash, man, right?
But that's not trash. It's mid-major. These are young schools that have made like remember Florida Gulf Coast? And then a lot of those kids from Florida Gulf Coast got picked off by Florida. Like you've seen their best players, even their best players stayed, but their second and third best player got picked off in the next season. So like you look at some of these teams that make runs, George Mason making that run to the Final Four. Like there's a lot of these mid-major teams that I grew up watching that we're probably not going to get that again.
Maybe, man. I don't know. I think it's still gonna be teams here and there that's still gonna, but it's a part of the game, bro. You know what I mean? Why not go play for a bigger school at this point? You know what I mean?
100%. Oh, go ahead, Bo.
I was just gonna say the mid majors is gonna become like the development league. If they do get 5-star guys, the best they can do is stay with us for a year or two, and then I will help you get to the Power 5 team you want to go to. That's what's going to happen. Or to Gene's point when he said, well, you were a 4-star prospect before. You're not getting any playing time. Come play with us for a year or two. Then I'll help you get back to another Power 5 team. I think that's exactly what's happened. This really does come down to if we're let's keep it a buck. It's about the buck, right? Mm-hmm. What it has empowered players as it should, because coaches leave too, to be able to pick and choose where they go and where they can make the most profit.
I will say this, and this is the last thing I want to say on this, and then if you want, we can share the bracket and see where people are at. But I think it will create a little bit less intrigue on opening 2 days, like my holiday, that Thursday, Friday. But I'll tell you, I cannot wait to watch Sweet 16 basketball, because Sweet 16 basketball now is all major programs. BYU, Alabama, Maryland, Florida, Arizona, Duke, Arkansas, Texas Tech, Ole Miss, Michigan State, Kentucky, Tennessee, Michigan, Auburn, Purdue, Houston. They're all major programs. And you know what major programs all have in common? They all have expensive coaches. They all have coaches that can coach basketball. These aren't these up and coming. Like McNeese State lost their coach a day before the tournament, and he still coached them, but like he signed with NC State a day before the tournament start. Oh, McNeese, you made a nice run. We see a lot of people talking about you. Come on over here to NC State. And like that's what happened before the tournament.
I mean, you know, just JUCO schools
Yeah.
take younger players, but I mean they're D1 schools. They're getting a little shine, you know, possibly can get their program up a little bit because they made a little run or a show up in the tournament, and now they can possibly be a better school down the road at this point, you know. So I mean, I think it benefits both. You get the kid, he gets more. I mean, a lot of people don't stay in college long anyway, so you get maybe top 2 years out of a player. He's at a little school like McNeese, then he'll go to another power school, and then he's out of there. He's going to the league if he can.
Look, I hear you. I miss Princeton. I miss Florida Gulf Coast.
You
I
can't
miss
live in the old days.
UNC.
It's gonna be a minute before you see Princeton make a deep run. It's gonna be a minute.
Preston, St. Joseph when they had Jameer Nelson
And Delonte West. They had
Yes,
Jameer and
yes.
Delonte.
They had the backcourt. Yes.
but they made their little run. Maryland, how'd you feel about Mo? Let's talk about Maryland, man. Maryland, Colorado State, 72-71, man. Jalen Lake hits clutch 3, take him up by 1, man. Derek Quinn comes down and hits some off the bank Kyrie Irving bucket as a big man and closes the game out and stops the upset from happening, man.
I watched that game. I enjoyed that game so much. Colorado State was giving Maryland everything. and they had that game. They had that game, and they had control of the game. The game was played at their pace, and you could tell that their players not intimidated by Maryland. Like they had Maryland on their heels. I want to give credit to Maryland, though. A game like that can easily get away from you. It could just be one of the things where it's not your night. The Cinderella team is going to knock us off. There's nothing we can do. Maryland strapped up. Maryland got into them in the second half, and look, late in the game, after Colorado State makes that huge 3, I'm thinking, it's just meant to be. It's one of them things that's meant to be. That guy is a big man. And the move that he made to go to his left, fading to shoot it off the glass with a great contest, by the way, and make it that kind of touch, that looked like Jokic. Like that was a great shot by a great player.
He's a lottery pick. The guy's going to be a lottery pick in the NBA draft. He's absolutely a diaper dandy. He's like one of those freshman phenoms. The thing I love most about Maryland and the Crab Five, that's my favorite nickname of this tournament. All 5 of their starters in double digits once again. I'll say this, and you know, he said Julian Reese with big rebound. I think people forget how big Selton Miguel was. Like there was 2 times in that game where it looked like Colorado State was about to pull away the momentum, and this dude hit 2 back-to-back contested threes at like the moment of the game, right? But watching these kids play basketball at this level, and we talk about Queen did and by the way, anybody that's on social media talking about that kid traveled or that kid walked, shut up. No, he didn't. He took 2 steps. His pivot foot did not land. He made a great play, and you're trying to take away from what this kid did. Even I'll give credit to the Colorado State head coach. They asked him that in the press conference. He goes, bro, they didn't call it, so it doesn't matter. So, like, why are we talking about this? Like, kid made a great shot, and all you're trying to do is take away from that moment. No, I'm not with that. Great work for Maryland. It was a great basketball game. It was one of the 3 best basketball games of the tournament.
Let's talk about another one, man. Florida and UConn. Oh, man, that game was good up until the point. Walter Clayton Jr. was out there just lighting it up down the stretch for them, man. You know, big buckets. He was a big shot taker that game, man. UConn. McNeely was out there getting buckets, but they was failing on the rebound side down the stretch.
That hurt me. Look, I'm gonna give Florida credit. I will. I'm gonna give them credit. They made shots when UConn didn't. And I know we can get into what Hurley said post game or walking into the locker room. Look, that wasn't a game that was decided by the officials. That's not what happened. If UConn can secure the rebounds, if they can secure rebounds off missed free throws, game's over. The game is over. They could not secure rebounds, and it happened multiple times. That's what cost them the game. That if you watch that game through and through, UConn had Florida playing the way they wanted to play. That's the game that UConn wanted, and they let it slip away late. I think Florida found a way to make plays, and UConn didn't make, I would call, critical plays, 50-50 plays that you got to make to win close games like that.
I'll say this. Lee, the name you need to remember is Thomas Hall. Thomas Hall got credit for the first offensive rebound, did not get credit for the poke away on the second offensive rebound. That man did both offensive rebounds he was involved in, and they were the two biggest offensive rebounds of the basketball game. And everyone wants to talk about Florida. Listen, you heard me in the chat. I will sing the praises of Walter Clayton Jr. That man has ice water in his veins. He's incredible to watch. But remember the name, because the kid did it.
Indeed. It was a great game, another good game, and I feel they choked down the stretch. Gonzaga had a chance to tie the game. Battle gets his shot blocked, man, trying to take the shot himself, man. Bad decision. Gene, what Houston could have got up out of there, man. Bad decision.
Yeah. So for Khalif Battle to take that shot, and granted, he's one of their leading scorers. But for him to take that shot, it felt like it was so forced. It was so like they didn't run any set. They didn't run any type of offense. It was just, we're going to take a shot here. And I was not a fan of how it went down.
Panicked? I think he panicked a little.
100% panicked. It was an ugly, ugly set. But listen, Khalif Battle just hit the 2 free throws to pull them within 1.
Right.
And then after that happened, it felt like just such a forced 3. Like it wasn't like they had no time left.
It was a dude.
They had 13 seconds on the clock, down 3. And this dude just held the ball and took a contested 3 that got blocked.
Yeah,
that's your mistake. That's you.
He had a dude open on the other side. He had 2 people on him. Common sense, as a top player, you gotta let somebody else take the shot, right, Mo?
Play hero ball.
It's interesting because Gene and I talked about the Gonzaga Houston matchup last week, and I think we both agreed. I said I had Houston getting to the Final Four, but I also said the hardest game for them is going to be Gonzaga. They have to get, because Gonzaga will outsmart you. They will beat you with their sets and the way they play the game and make you play at their pace. Their coach, Mark, is brilliant. And as I'm watching the game play out, I'm sitting there thinking, like, Gene told me they might get him. They might get him. And I was worried. I thought that game showed you the strengths and the weaknesses of Houston. It really did. It played out that way. If Houston goes up against a team that can dissect them and make them shoot more than be able to show off their athleticism, they're going to struggle. When they highlight their athleticism, they're dominant. And that's going to be Houston. It is going to be a roller coaster ride. So I want to give a shout out to Gonzaga, just putting it on Houston for the longest time. And yes, he did panic, but I think I've seen players do that sometimes too. He's also the guy that's been a leader of that team all year long. I'm sure nobody feels worse than that young man, but it was a great game.
And for Houston, it's Cryer or nobody. Like, that's literally what it became. It was like when you said make them shoot, it looked like no one on that Houston team really wanted to shoot the ball except Cryer. LJ Cryer was on fire. The rest of the team, like, just to give you the statistics behind it, LJ Cryer was 6 for 11 from 3-point range. The rest of the team, 2 for 5. They just didn't want to shoot the ball. And in NCAA tournaments, you just kept seeing them defer to Cryer. Roberts obviously in the lane, they're big man, but like it was Roberts to Cryer. You need more than 2 guys to be able to want the moment to be able to win this tournament.
So let's talk about our brackets in the wire to wire, man. Mo, Gene, how we look? How y'all looking in the brackets right now?
I'm gonna share it with everybody, and
please let's pull that up. Let's pull that up, man.
I got you. So you should see on your screen now, the leaders in the clubhouse, and then we'll talk about the leaders for wire to wire. Now, I'm going to go over two different things, right? So y'all see this on your screen, right? I'm not missing anything, am I?
I see.
Okay. So Bob Tierney is leading the bracket, and he has the best bracket. There's no doubt about it, right? He has 1770 max, and he has 530 points. So it's not just this, right? Because we see who's second on the bracket is Brett Anchor. Brett I play softball with. He has no chance of winning. He has St. John's winning it all. His max is at 1190. So don't fall for the people that have the highest points now. Look at the max points, and we'll go over both. But Cody Judge, Angelo Seach with a great bracket, 1750 max. Cody Judge, 1790 max. Jeremy Thomas, guy I work with. RJ Kaler, that's my best friend. Mark Vines, 1780. It's not bad. But like you see people like Wayne Taylor. Wayne Taylor lost the finals team. He's got 1460 left. That's not a. So let's look at. We gotta search a little bit for our first bracket. There we go. Dylan Reed. That's the first member of the network.
All right,
that
Dylan.
we have.
Okay.
Dylan Reed, 1640, 480. Like, we're struggling. Wire to wire people are struggling. There's Sally, 1740, 460. He's doing pretty well. We go over to page 2. Now, here's what I look at, right? And you can see me, a little 44 there. But William Morgan, 1370. He's done. No, I'm serious. When you have like Craig Price got no
I'm
shot.
laughing because I know I'm done.
Me too.
It's been some upsets happening, man. I thought I had St. John going at least to the Final Four. They ain't
I
get
might
there.
be low, but I have a 1640 max. So like when you go to the first page, and I'll go right here, I'll just max this out. Let's go back to page 1, and we'll go by max. And that's where I think you need to look at, right? Because if things fall your way, this is the top 30 right now. These are the top 30, and it's Cody, Mark, Bob Tierney, Mark. We gotta know who Mark Vines is. I really don't know who that is. Mark and Allen. That's all right. We'll figure that out. Angelo, Kyle Baker. Look at Kyle Baker. This guy doesn't even know basketball. Just signed up. Michigan State in the finals. They're probably not going to win, but that's all right. Way to check in, Kyle Baker. But like you can see all the people on here. These are the people you got to look out for. Anybody that's over 1,600 or higher really has an absolute chance of winning. And like the reason I was saying the people that were 1,400 have no chance because the way the bracket is, you have no Cinderella right now to, I guess, like help you, right? So like someone's going to get points out of it. Like if next round, if a 1 or a 4 wins, someone is going to get points. So that's what you really have to look at. And then I like doing this. This is always fun, right? We always go to the end and we go, Matt Godfrey, last place, my man. What happened, Matt? I Black Elmore. What do you have? Or you got UConn winning the whole thing? Come on, Elmore. UConn. You're buying into that Dan Hurley. And I do want to make one announcement, guys. There's one announcement. There is one bracket that is in. The reason we left Ashley Ben here, Ashley has a bracket. Her wrong bracket got, I guess, entered into the group. I just want to share this on air because I don't want anybody being weird about it. A wrong bracket got shared into the group. She has, I'm going to read her Final Four on air this way. There's no weirdness with it. Mm-hmm. She has Alabama winning it all. And just her Final Four matters.
The Tide?
She has Alabama winning it all. Mark Sears. And her Final Four, she has Florida over Auburn and Alabama over... Hold on. Florida over Auburn. I just got to pull it up. I have her bracket right here. And Alabama
who
over.
got win it all, Mo?
I had Duke win it all, I believe.
No,
I take that back. I had Houston.
Houston?
Not Houston. Yeah, Houston. Yeah.
Bro, what's your name under?
It's probably Mo Better. I don't remember.
No,
I threw up a name. I'm in there somewhere, or Better Blues or something like that.
Do me a favor, just screenshot your bracket because one of the ones that are winning could be yours. I don't know. like who Mark Vines is. Is that you? That could be
That,
you. I don't know.
that is not me. I don't want to take credit for Mark Vine's work. It ain't me.
But I'm looking for it. Let us know, Mo. But I'm gonna stop
All right.
everything now.
I want to get a quick rapid fire of these games right here coming up, and we got the Sweet 16 coming up first. BYU Alabama. Who you taking? Bama? Mo?
If it's the game that Gene says it could be, I would take BYU because I think that even though Alabama's high scoring, high flying, I think BYU plays in more of a system. They're more controlled. I would take BYU.
BYU. Gene, who you going with?
I'm roll tide.
Rolling Tide.
Mark Sears is too good, man, and he has not had his signature game of this tournament yet. He really didn't have a great game versus St. Mary's, and they still won by 14 points. Mark Sears, 5th-year senior from Alabama. Remember the name. I love the kid. Great player.
Big game here. Florida, Maryland. Gene, who you going? Brackets aside, who you going with as the tournament's unwinding?
Listen, love the Crab Five, but they're not beating Florida. Florida had their hiccup. They had their hiccup. UConn had the opportunity. Florida is too good everywhere. Walter Clayton Jr. Remember the name.
He's a bucket. Mo, who you going with?
I'm going with Florida.
Going Florida?
Yeah, I feel like about Florida the way I feel about Houston. I think they had their hiccup. They haven't even played their best basketball, so I think Florida's too much.
I think I'm gonna go. I think BYU might catch an upset on the Bama, and I think Florida is gonna probably. I don't think they're gonna survive. I don't think Maryland's gonna survive Florida, but let's go to you, Mo. Arizona. Can they put up a fight against Big Duke this year?
No. I can give you a long detail, but I think that the first half might be competitive. I think Duke pulls away and wins by a comfortable double digits. I think Duke is too much. And Gene pointed out, Cooper Flagg hasn't even played the game where he establishes, I'm the best player out here, period. But I think that game is coming. And I think Arizona be the prime spot where he has a 28-12 game with a couple of blocks.
Where you going, Gene?
So
Arizona?
If you watch that Arizona-Oregon game last night, there's a guy on Oregon. His name is Nate Biddle. And he looks like he's 45 years old. Looks like an old white dude that like plays at rec basketball. And he was giving Arizona all they could handle in the middle. And he was dominating their big. For Arizona to even keep this game competitive, Caleb Love has to play out of his frigging mind. And don't take this the wrong way. I've watched Caleb Love and I've watched RJ Davis over these years, and they always seem when the moment gets big, they come up small. I'll never forget the missed free throws Caleb Love had down the stretch. Maybe he's turned a corner. I think Duke wins.
All right, we're going with the last one here but we'll talk about the other ones that play on Friday tomorrow. We got Arkansas and Texas Tech. I think Arkansas might pull an upset. Gene, what you think, man?
So Coach Calipari is not getting nearly enough credit for what he's done with that Arkansas team. Y'all remember the press conference before the season started? He goes, I want to introduce you to our team, our roster. And he goes, there's none of them. They're all freshmen. They're all freshmen. What Coach Calipari has done with that team and the turnover in just 1 year, he deserves so much credit. I am amazed at what he's doing with Arkansas. Why not keep it going? Led by Carter Knox, yeah, I think that this Arkansas team figures out another way to win another big game.
Mo, who you rolling with, man? You not gonna roll with DJ?
Nah, I'm rolling with Coach Cal. I think these young guys are a reflection of their coach. They're dogs. They get after it. They don't know what they don't know. I feel like they come into every game playing with house money, and that makes them a dangerous team. So I'm rolling with Arkansas.
Arkansas, man.
A lot of lineage in that game, right? You got Kevin Knox's brother Carter. You got DeJuan Wagner's son DJ.
Wags.
There's just a lot of lineage and a lot of. I just want to say that these kids have been primed for the moment, from the moment they were born.
Indeed, I love the NCAA tournament, man. something to watch this year, even though they might be one and dones. You know,
Some of them, but a lot of them stay. A lot of them, like because of the G League and overseas and NIL, you get a lot more of these guys that aren't top 15 picks that stay. They end up staying in college basketball because they're getting paid just as much as they get paid on a rookie contract in the NBA.
Let's switch a little bit to the NBA. I want some NBA action before we get up out of here. What are we watching going on in the NBA right now? Are we looking at this point in the season where teams at the top are more concerned with resting players and getting ready for playoffs, or is teams just out here taking L's? Like, I don't want to talk about it, man. Lakers, I don't know what happened. LeBron and Luka on the floor, 115 or 146 against the Bulls. Mo, what are we watching going on out here with teams?
Look, I think when you look at Cleveland and Oklahoma City, I don't think either one of them going to get caught in their conferences. So, look, are they trying to win games? Sure, but I think they're tamping down and they're valuing health going into the postseason, which is important. I think when you look at teams like the Lakers that are still fighting for seeding, it's embarrassing to get destroyed like that by a Chicago team. That's not a good team. They're trying to lose games. They're not good. And everybody's looking for excuses. They just got the brakes beat off them. There's no excuses. I'm more interested in the back end of both conferences. So I'm looking at like where a team like the Clippers are going to be when the seeding's all said and done. Because I would love to see a first round matchup of Oklahoma City versus the Clippers. I think that would be an intriguing first round series, provided both teams walk into that series healthy. I would like to see Detroit play New York in the first round. I know the Pistons are young, they're unproven, but I think the Knicks don't have a bench. I think once you get past that starting five, they have nothing to offer. So I think Detroit is actually a scarier matchup for the Knicks than the Knicks for the Pistons. And if you said who's the best player in that series, a lot of people say Brunson by name. I don't think right now today Brunson is better than Cade. I don't.
Mr. Gene, what you think is happening in the NBA, man? Is the top teams winding down, man, or are they just getting beat out there?
Mo, I know how much you love basketball. I know how much you watch basketball. I know how much you put into basketball. It's a bad product right now. It's an absolute bad product right now. I hope come playoff time that you'll see everybody playing, but there's too many teams that are trying to lose. There's too many situations in which, like, it's like you're either in or you're out, and the NBA keeps trying to build this bridge, right, with this play-in. But most of the play-in teams don't even want to make the play-in. They want to keep their lottery picks. Like, you look at a team like I'm not really trying to call people out, but the Chicago Bulls, who just won a game, they're 9th in the play-in. They don't want to be in the play-in. They don't want to be there. That organization would prefer them to get a lottery pick. There's just the Orlando Magic is sitting 5 games below 500 in the 8th seed. It's embarrassing. It's absolutely embarrassing in the NBA. There's about 6 to 7 good teams in each conference, and everybody else in the NBA wants to lose. So what you're getting is you're getting games in which people are going out there and mailing in efforts, or you're getting G Leaguers because everybody's sat out because like, oh yeah, we're going to rest him until next year. He's got a thumb injury. And then you get one or two good games a night. Like last night, you got 2 good games. You got the Thunder Clippers, you got the Nuggets Rockets. Everything else was trash. Everything else that you put on the TV last night was absolute dog water.
Do you think the years like this, do you think the play-in should be non-existent? Do you think the play-in should be situational because you got teams like the Bulls and the Heat who are in the play-in as of right now? The Suns is down there, but they actually could be a team to compete there, but they just having a bad season. But isn't this the type of season where you shouldn't even have a play-in?
Mo, you want to go on that one? I don't think you can selectively choose that.
Yeah,
no, I'm just saying if you could, come on, Bulls and Heat. Are they really got a chance to do something in the playoffs?
No.
What are we doing here?
Right.
it's pointless to watch, right?
To simplify for me, I've never been a big fan of the play-in, but much like March Madness, a team could catch fire and go on a deep run. We saw Miami do that. They
Miami
were
had Jimmy though, man.
right, but that wasn't a great basketball team. Look at that team. Really look at that roster top to bottom. They had Jimmy, they had Bam, and some dudes. And I mean, Martin came off and had the best shooting of his career in the postseason. Couldn't miss a three. I think that was a run, but more times than not, like Gene said, when you're hanging around the play-in and you're a bad team, it benefits your franchise that you don't make the playoffs. What's the point of getting into the play-in and be the 8th seed, get destroyed in the first round, and all you did was really destroy your draft order? A team like the Chicago, they need their next franchise player. They need a franchise player. And getting into the playoffs doesn't benefit them at all. So I don't understand the strategy, but Gene is right. The product overall at this time of the season is trash because most teams, at least the contenders, are more concerned about health. So they're not even playing a lot of the frontline guys. And then teams on the back end that are committed to losing, they're not playing the remaining frontline guys because they're trying to lose. So it's frustrating. I hope the playoffs can make up for what we're seeing in the regular season at the end of the regular season, because it's not entertaining basketball overall.
Indeed, I agree. It's gonna be real ugly. I do want to touch on this. I don't know if you guys seen the details of T. Higgins' contract. So the details of this man's contract is nothing in 2025 is guaranteed. However, $20 million signing roster bonus is earned at 5 days after signing. The only fully guaranteed at signing is $10 million 2026 off-season roster bonus. The Bengals have a practical guarantee year-to-year option that they can pay T. Higgins $35.9 million for 2025 if he plays all 17 games and earn $2 million per roster bonus. The Bengals could get rid of T. Higgins at the end of the year, and they will owe this man nothing because he will likely get paid somewhere else. What do you think, Gene, about this contract for T. Higgins?
It's an interesting structure of the contract. It almost felt like T. Higgins wanted to have the number show on TV of how important the number is, as opposed to actually signing something that would be helpful to him. It's an extremely team-friendly deal. So I don't know what that means. I think T. Higgins is kind of betting on himself, but saying he's got to play all 17 games. What if the Bengals clinch a playoff spot and they don't need to play starters week 17? Does he have to suit up, get on the field, and run a route?
The contract says all 17, brother. All 17.
It's a violent sport. I would never sign a contract that told me I had to play all 17 games.
Not only that, if they can cut him next year and had to pay this man nothing.
See, T. Higgins is at the age that if you cut him, he's still going to get paid. I wouldn't be worried about that if I'm T. Higgins, because the truth is, it was either that or he gets franchised. And if he got franchised, it's a 1-year guarantee anyway, and he's back in this scenario again.
Mo, what do you think about this contract, man?
It's amazingly team friendly. But I think Gene laid it out perfectly. T. Higgins is betting on himself. I think T. Higgins is betting on himself, Joe Burrow, and Jamar Chase. And look, if they turned around next season and said, well, he was pretty good. He had about 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns, but we don't feel he's worth it. He'd be picked up within the same week and get paid. So I don't mind him betting on himself. It's just unusual. I'm not used to the Bengals front office making deals that benefit them. Good for them.
Gene, you just think T. Higgins just wanted to stay with Cincinnati? That's all, man. Hey, I'll take whatever you got. Just make it look good on social media.
I'll put it to you this way. After Deebo Samuel got traded to Washington, T. Higgins' number 1 meal ticket got thrown out. So now you make a decision, right? Do you want to go play in New England and be a number 1 receiver in a freezing cold situation? Mm-hmm. Who else was going to pay him? I hate to be that guy. I think T. Higgins is.
He can go pair with Justin Jefferson.
No, he can't. They have Jordan Addison there.
Nothing to say.
I think T
They're
big.
not-
You don't think
They
T better
love
than Jordan?
Addison up there. He's 2 years into a rookie contract. They don't have to pay him
Right.
a lot. Listen, I think that we really underrate. You know where he could have went? He could have went to the Chargers.
True.
And
But
been
they
their
have-
number one.
But they signed receivers the last 2 years. Quentin Johnson was their first round pick 2 years ago. And last year, Lad McConkey, who's really their number one receiver now, was their, I think he was first pick of the second round, but he was their first or the end of the first round last year. But regardless, they have young receivers too. People don't want to pay receivers like that. And teams that pay receivers normally have rookie quarterbacks. So do you want to go play for Joe Burrow or do you want to play for New England and freeze your ass off and play for Drake May?
Speaking of quarterbacks, Mr. E to W, Jameis Winston got him a spot. He got him a spot, man. Now, the only reason I'm bringing this up is, are they using Jameis Winston as a buffer and going to put their money elsewhere for this year to build other spots? Or are they going to just have him as a backup, getting paid, 2 years, $8 million, and he got incentives. That's what made me question. He got incentives that can boost his contract up, to about $16 million. So what you think? That John still gonna go get a quarterback in the draft, or are they looking elsewhere? Mo, talk to me.
So I do think they're going to get a quarterback in the draft, but they did say that they signing Jameis to be a backup. Only thing I would push back on is unless they bring in another veteran who's at his level or better, Jameis he's going to start at some point in the season. And when he starts, Giants fans are going to love him. And they're going to hate him. They're going to do both. And Malik Neighbors will love him and hate him too. Malik Neighbors with Jameis Winston, Malik Neighbors is going to have a 1,200-yard season. He's going to catch a lot of passes, put up a lot of numbers. Jameis is going to give you 25 to 28 touchdown passes. He's also going to give you 25 to 28 picks. And some of those will be pick sixes. If they don't bring in another veteran quarterback, I don't think they're going to start a rookie. Jameis will start. And at some point, if that rookie is ready, he'll take the reins maybe mid-season. But look, they're saying he's not a bridge quarterback. Unless you bring another veteran to compete against him, he is the bridge quarterback.
Tommy DeVito still there?
Yeah, Jameis. Whether he's there or not, he's not starting over Jameis.
Gene, what you think, brother? Is he a bridge quarterback?
I mean, he's a bridge. He's a backup. They signed him 2 years, $8 million. That's less money than they gave Drew Lock. They signed him to be a backup. I think that Jameis Winston being on that roster as a backup quarterback is actually an intelligent move. They got a very good deal for a backup quarterback. $4 million a year for a backup quarterback, I'll take it, especially one with experience like Jameis, especially if you get a quarterback in the draft. Say they get Shedeur Sanders. Like having him in the room with somebody at least understands how to play offense and play quarterback in the NFL. I'm not saying Jameis is the best leader in the world. He's absolutely crazy. But I don't think that's bad. I think it's a smart move. He will not be their starter. He might start a game or two, but he will not go into the season as their starter. That's not their plan.
So, big thing came up in the NFL owners box proposals for the year. You know what I'm talking about, Gene. Green Bay is posing to ban the tush push. You think it's gonna get passed? How we feel about this, man?
I used it as my "you got to be kidding me" the other night. They used it as league safety is what the reason that they put. But there's been 0 known injuries from the tush push. 0 recorded injuries from that play. Like, I actually think it's the least, like, I know it's physically demanding, but I think it's the least likely to get injury play. There's so many people running at fast speeds. Like I said, it's a rugby scrum. I get it. I understand. Why don't you say it's not an NFL style play? Why don't you say it's more of a rugby scrum play? But to go for player safety, you know you're stretching, you know you're reaching. And if I had a frail quarterback that was my franchise quarterback and I couldn't stop a team in the NFC that made that play constantly, yeah, man, maybe I would think about that too. But in reality, it just comes off as sour grapes and as if they're I don't want to say scared, but I don't know. You can read between the lines.
Mo, how you feel about the tush push possibly being banned in the NFL?
I think it's weak. I think it's a weak move. Like that's a pressing issue with the powers that be. I get it. I get it. If you've got an unathletic quarterback and you can't do it, that's a thing, and you can't stop it. But to me, Gene made a great point. Say that you think it's a rugby scrum and not an NFL play, and maybe you have a credible argument. But as far as I'm concerned, it's a football play that nobody's been able to stop. And I think that it should continue until somebody stops it. Like everybody's got to go to in short yardage situations. The Philadelphia Eagles came up with a play, and they have a quarterback, by the way, who's perfect for that particular play, and nobody can stop it. And so you're hearing this whining, and while they'll ban it, like normally when you talk about banning something, it's a league wide situation. This isn't a league wide thing. One team does this better than anybody else, and nobody can stop it. And all the other teams are banding together to say we should stop this, we should end this. That's kind of weak.
I did see a few teams try to do the tush push, a few times here and there, but I don't think they just know the concept of it. I think the tush push is more complicated than people think. They think it's oh, we just pushing ahead, but it's actually a technique. And I've seen teams try it, and they're not good at it.
Carmike, who's the biggest quarterback in the NFL?
The biggest? I
think biggest.
Josh Allen?
That's correct. And what did the Buffalo Bills try to run unsuccessfully 3 times versus the Kansas City Chiefs?
They tried it. They tried it.
It doesn't seem to be like just a quarterback thing. It's absolute. And like I love what Nick Sirianni said about it. He said, for you to just say it's like a guarantee, you have no idea how much we put into that play. Leverage and understanding like who gets lower. I don't know. Just
so Mr. Najee Harris had an interview, and what he said was he was on a team that just lost Ben, the O-line, they lost O-line players. It just didn't have really anything going on offense as far as veteran wise, and he didn't have nobody to learn from with the offense, which is why they didn't have much success. Why the Steelers offense haven't been really having much success. Mo, what you think about this guy going and firing a shot? Was he shooting at the Steelers or was he shooting at Mike Tomlin for the offense?
I think he's doing all the above. But look, unless Najee Harris goes to the Chargers and has a 1,500-yard season and averages 4.5, 5 yards a carry, which he won't, I don't want to hear it.
Harbaugh's offense?
It is true the Steelers don't have a great offensive line. But it's also equally true he's not a great running back. He's just a guy. You can get a Najee Harris in the 5th or 6th round. You can probably get a Najee Harris undrafted. So, look, an average player took a shot on his way out, but he took a shot on his way out because they didn't want him, and that hurt his feelings. They didn't want him. I think in a Jim Harbaugh offense, he's going to get more than enough chances to prove himself because Jim Harbaugh is a run-first coach. Everybody knows that's not a secret. The question is he going to live up because he's running his mouth? So I want to see a 1,400-yard season from Najee Harris where he averages over 4 yards a carry because that's not been the case in his NFL career.
Gene, quick comments, man. We got to get on out of here. You have anything to say about what Najee said?
I would never burn bridges in the NFL. Too many people are friends with too many people. He signed a 1-year contract in LA, and you're burning bridges with one of the most likable coaches in Mike Tomlin and one of the best run franchises in the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Rooney family. When owners walk into meetings, they know who Art Rooney is.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our show for the day. A lot of things going on. NFL, NCAA is the big thing. It's been a pleasure this morning. I really enjoyed it this morning. Gene, you have any closing comments, boss?
No, just check out the bracket. We'll be posting it all week. It's been great. I'll have the total numbers by Wednesday's show. We got close to our target, but didn't exactly get there. But thank you, everybody that signed up for the bracket. and got involved with us.
And to close us out, man, if you mow better, you'll do better. Close us out, boss.
Thank you guys so much for joining us this morning. Make sure you check out all the great content we have at Wire to Wire Network. Wire to Wire Network, we appreciate you.